Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Friday, 14 November. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about the US has announced military operations against narco-terrorists. The BBC has apologised to Trump over the documentary edit, and prosecutors are probing Sarajevo sniper tourism charges in Italy. So firstly, the United States Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has announced a new US military operation that is aimed at targeting narco-terrorists in the Western Hemisphere. In a statement on X, he said, "Today I am announcing Operation Southern Spear," the Pentagon's boss declared. It's a lead joint task force called Southern Spear and Southcom. The mission defends our homeland and removes narco-terrorists from our hemisphere and secures our homeland from drugs that are killing our people. The Southern Command, or SOCOM, or Southcom, SOCOM Special Operations, is one of the US military's 11 unified combatant commands. Yep, cool, sweet. All right, so what? This is pretty unsurprising, and it's just like an extrapolation of what they were getting up to in Venezuela and, well, near Venezuela. And I think it's also a way of like justifying their continued presence near Venezuela. And it sounds like they're expanding it to target other countries. So it'll be interesting to see where this kind of goes. It seems possible that they may start conducting strikes in countries, which would be a significant escalation, and without, the approval of that country's government, would be pretty crazy. If they went in unilaterally and started conducting kinetic strikes within a country, that would be a significant step up. Like, I understand that they want to stop the flow of drugs into the US, and it makes sense, but I think they need to work with these countries rather than conduct unilateral operations. Like, most people's assessment of the situation in the Caribbean is that the drugs are just an excuse to try and oust Maduro from Venezuela. And I don't see it any other way, to be honest. Yeah, I do think they legitimately want to stop the flow of drugs, but I also think this is just an underlying excuse to be fucking around in that region. So yeah. And next, the BBC has issued an apology to US President Donald Trump for a misleading edit of a Panorama documentary the British public broadcaster said on Thursday, but denied the issue as grounds for a defamation lawsuit. Trump has threatened to sue the company for over $1 billion for misleading viewers over a speech he gave to supporters in Washington, D.C. on January the 6th, 2021, shortly before Joe Biden's 2020 election victory was due to be certified by Congress. The program spliced together two excerpts from Trump's speech that were more than 50 minutes apart, creating the impression that he was inciting the Capitol riot. The documentary, which was broadcast days before the 2024 US presidential election, had also removed a section where Trump said that he wanted supporters to demonstrate peacefully. The controversy has already led to the resignation of the BBC Director General, Tim Davie, and Chief Executive of News, Deborah Turnus. So what? It makes sense that they apologised. The $1 billion lawsuit is probably pretty scary, even if you truly believe that you could win and that this isn't defamation. It's still an extremely costly endeavour. Like, going through the litigation case would be pretty painful for the BBC at a time when they're, facing significant criticism and apparently not making as much money from their TV licenses as they have been in the past. But yeah, I think more people need to go in the BBC. I think there needs to be a very significant overhaul of how the organization and the media company approaches news to become more biased as the British, taxpayer-funded broadcasting agency. I think for too long at this point, they've leaned politically in one direction, as has been very evident in their broadcasting. So yeah, I don't know. They seem to have a pretty bad rap. No one really believes them. I mean, this is kind of like a wider mainstream media issue. But yeah, no one's really buying their shit anymore, and people are pretty fed up. So I think a significant overhaul to build some trust back in the organization is basically the only thing they could do to kind of get back on top at this point. And lastly, public prosecutors in Milan have opened investigations into a list of Italians accused of paying for the chance to participate in the siege of Sarajevo as weekend snipers, Italian media reported this week. According to the charges, wealthy foreigners would pay Serbian forces the equivalent of €100,000 to shoot civilians for fun, as reported by an Italian newspaper, La Repubblica. The investigation is led by some Italian bloke, and aims to identify any Italians involved in the killing. They are suspected of voluntary murder aggravated by cruelty and objective motives, a crime which has no statute of limitations and carries a maximum of a life sentence. The newspaper reported witnesses describing wealthy Western war tourists, and that they would pay a premium to target children. This is the second investigation into this matter after the mayor of Sarajevo in 2022 filed criminal charges against persons unknown for their role in shooting of the Sarajevo population. So what? I mean, it seems like this could be a real fucking story. That's crazy. I mean, this isn't the first kind of thing like this we've ever heard of. War tourism and rich people wanting to get involved in conflict is not new, sadly. Well, I mean, this is old, so it's kind of before the other examples I'm about to give. But similar things have been reported in Ukraine in the last few years, with rich Russians paying to fly FPV drones into targets in Kherson. And also in the past, there's been stories of rich people paying to go hunt pirates near Somalia. Essentially, they would sail around on boats trying to bait out pirates that they then would engage with heavy weapons. So yeah, humans are fucked is basically the summary here, and rich humans want to spend their money on shit that most people can't do or should do, to be completely fair. So yeah, if this is legitimate, then I hope they get caught, because that's fucked. Anyway, that's been your Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. No, on Monday. See you.